Welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, the last half hour. Number to call if you want to join the program, 888-589-8840. We're talking before the break about the FAA furloughs that happened last week, and they backed completely away from that. They've gone back to fixing the problem. The head of the FAA said, look, I don't have any choice about the matter. I have to inflict this pain on the American people. And yet, I've got a story here from the Wall Street Journal, flight delays as political strategy. In other words, the Wall Street Journal exposes this as blatant political maneuvering on the part of President Obama. And what the Wall Street Journal points out is the head of the FAA saying, hey, I didn't have any choice. I had to furlough all these air traffic controllers. But the Journal points out that the FAA, they've got to find $600 million in savings. And the head of FAA said, the only way I can do this is I got to furlough air traffic controllers. Now, what the Journal points out is that the FAA right now is spending $500 million on consultants. So apparently what the head of the FAA says, I'm going to take all $600 million out of the hides of travelers. I'm going to interfere with their travel. I'm going to get delays. I'm going to provoke delays. I'm going to back stuff up. And then we'll keep spending the $500 million on consultants. And the Journal says, hey, why don't you dump the consultants? There's 500 of your 600 million right there. And they spend $325 million on supplies and travel. So how about taking out of there? And they point out that the Department of Transportation just announced a $474 million grant program that promises, quote, to make communities more livable and sustainable. But no, we can't do anything with those precious outlays. We have to make the American people feel the pain. And even Politico had a piece published by Rich Lowry on Friday that, and Lowry points out the FAA has got a $15 billion budget, and the Transportation Department, which the FAA is a part of, has got a $70 billion budget. So $600 million, that's chump change in a budget that size. And what Lowry points out is the budget for the FAA is actually bigger this year than under President Obama's 2013 budget request. The FAA has more money under the sequester than President Obama was even asking for in 2013. That's why Pat Toomey calls their bluff on this, clip number 14, and he just blew this thing right out of the tub. Let's listen.
If the sequester goes into effect and stays into effect and the savings are achieved, the FAA for this year will have more money to spend than what the president asked for in his budget submission.
Pat,
I think that tells you all you need to know.
How many times have you and I heard people in the media and on both sides, depending on what committee they're on, screaming about massive spending cuts and how locusts were going to descend from the skies and eat flesh from off of our bones, and we find out later that they have more money this year to spend than they had last year.
But this is why they're doing this, precisely because the president, frankly, and many in his administration were so shrill about this leading up to the sequester. Now they feel like, well, they better make it painful or else they look pretty foolish having predicted all the dire consequences.
So that's Pat Toomey. Look, blatant political move. Let's grab clip number 23, Rob. This is Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's the head of the Democratic National Committee, and she's trying to stir up sympathy. I have no idea how much her aides make, but she's trying to scare the American people, guilt them into doing something about this sequester because her poor, underpaid congressional staff will starve to death if the sequester is not reversed. Let's listen.
Extremely important, because we already have employees who are making a sacrifice to engage in public service as a career choice, being priced out of being able to actually eat a high-quality meal should not be one of the challenges that they face. And, Mr. Chairman, lastly, I just think it can't be stressed enough how important it is that we take care of our staff, that we make sure that working here is a high-quality experience, and that we recognize that the more that we rob Peter to pay Paul, the more that we make penny-wise and pound-foolish decisions, the tougher it is for us to compete not only with the private sector, but with other federal agencies who are offering better benefits, offering better pay, and who we will lose out to when it comes to the competitive nature of hiring the best potential public servants. And I think that would be a disservice to our constituents.
Yeah, normally Democrats try to scare you by talking about starving children. Now, she is trying to scare us with the thought of starving highly paid congressional staff, starving to death. Meanwhile, Eric Holder said, nope, we're not going to have any furloughs at the Justice Department, not in my department. They have 60,000 employees, and they're not going to have any furloughs. So we're going to make the American people that want to travel by plane, they're going to pay. They're going to have to take it in the chops, but not here at the Department of Justice. No. Our work is too important. No furloughs here. And you know where else there are no furloughs under the sequester? In the Obamacare program. No furloughs there. They all, their work is just far, far too important. So no furloughs for them. Now, we shifting gears a little bit, we've been following, of course, this deal with